Welcome to the Green Parking Council webinar on lighting controls and incentives. This presentation is part of our continuing series of informational webinars on sustainable technologies and programs in parking facilities. I am Trevor Mead, Green Parking Council Staff Associate. If you encounter any technical problems during the presentation, please email Gretchen Brown at gretchen@greenparkingcouncil.org or send a chat message in the box on the left-hand side of your screen. Energy-efficient lighting presents a tremendous opportunity for energy reduction in parking lots and garages. However, the plethora of available technologies, initial capital requirements, and complexities of making a lighting decision can make realizing this opportunity difficult. Today, GPC Platinum partner Cooper Lighting is offering the expertise of two of their team members to arm you with the information you need to initiate a lighting retrofit. Specifically, today's webinar will give you an understanding of available financial incentives and a knowledge of how lighting controls can be utilized to further increase efficiency and boost their retrofit's ROI. Please enter any questions into the chat box located on the left-hand side of your screen. We have allotted 15 minutes at the end of the webinar to go through the questions we received during the presentation. The webinar will run no longer than 1 hour. Without further ado, I would like to introduce today's presenters. Marc Coulter is the North Central Regional Manager of Energy Solutions at Eaton's Cooper Lighting. He studied industrial electronics at Milwaukee Area Technical College and holds a master electrician license in the state of Wisconsin. He is also a member of the Association of Energy Engineers, where he holds a Certified Lighting Energy Professional credential. In 2011, he was recognized with the Energy Manager of the Year Award for Region 3. Today's second presenter is John Massey. John is the Director of Energy Solutions with Eaton's Cooper Lighting. He received his Bachelor's of Science in Engineering from Auburn University in 1992. Before joining Cooper Lighting, John was a regional manager for Southern Company Wholesale Generation. Mark and John?
Thanks, Trevor. We're glad to spend a little time with everyone and talk through some of the economics of LED retrofits. John there? I'll keep going. Maybe he's got some issues with his phone. He can pipe in whenever he gets ready. John and I are Trevor, are we good? Are we live? We're good to go? I think I'm fine.
Yes, you're fine.
All right, sorry.
We'll figure out what's going on with John.
Yeah. So John and I are part of our Energy Solutions team. John's our director nationally running our group. And we work with customers across all facets to help author sustainable lighting solutions that make sense. And partnership this year with the Green Parking Council has meant a lot in learning some new folks within the outdoor parking space and working towards some of those shared goals with sustainable solutions within the outdoor parking space as it relates to lighting. We've got kind of a multifaceted approach in the way that we address energy solutions to our partners in the market.
Mark, can you hear me?
Oh, there we are. We're great.
Sorry about that.
Yep. No problem.
You guys there? Okay, sorry about that.
That's fine.
We have energy solutions is a really team concept, from our innovative products to vertical markets. We work through our channel partners and use all our resources of our people and our commitment to energy efficiency. Our innovative products, we're always developing new technologies that improve efficiency and protect the environment. We are committed at Cooper to promoting this, and you can see it from the resources that we're using and expanding, hiring many engineers down at our development center in Peachtree City, but on the cutting edge of LED. And you can see that through how LED is becoming more and more a part of our products. Also our vertical markets, and you can see that we have products that approach all of these markets: automotive, retail, hospitality, and parking. And not just, developing products, but trying to develop applications that are specific to these vertical markets. None can be more specific than parking, where Mark in a few minutes will speak to several products that have been designed around addressing the application as opposed to just making a product that reaches across several markets. Also, our channel partners, we work through in partnership with ESCOs, distributors, our agents, retailers, and specifiers, and even more. Our group, our team, I have a team of 6 people on our energy team that has the United States, and we work through these partners to get our products to market. And then also our resources, our people. We understand what influences energy markets through working with people like the Green Parking Council, educational and promotional support. We have a 60,000 square foot facility at Peachtree City where we have it's a showroom, but beyond just a showroom of our latest products, we also have teach classes there and for technical certification. And it's available, obviously, to the Green Parking Council and its members. We'd love to have you there showing what we're doing from an engineering perspective and from a testing perspective. Online tools, Mark will speak to that in just a few minutes. But we also have the incentive program support and our energy project support, and not only online, but just also through our team members on our team, and then also through our channel partners, where we can support you in these incentive programs or these energy projects.
Yeah, thanks, John. So we're in setup for this whole discussion today, when we were working with Trevor on how to set the stage for talking about where we're at with LED technologies, where we're at with control, and how they lay into solutions for the outdoor parking space. Looked at a few sources for some background. Department of Energy put a nice lighting fact sheet together, kind of talking about where we're at from a specification standpoint. Trevor, if I'm correct, I believe all these slides in this presentation are going to be available online at the end for reference later on. So we're not going to read through all this detail, but I wanted to provide some of this as a background. And really this next slide, as they have a table on the Department of Energy website and their lighting fact sheet talking about the various technologies that are available. I like to use this sheet for a couple of reasons. One, it's got some good basic information about basic lighting systems that can address particularly the parking garage application space. Where you've got fluorescent induction and LED, this chart was put together in 2011. And you can see the various technologies that are there, the benefits from life, overall output depreciation, maintenance of each of the different technologies across fluorescent induction and LED. And one of my favorite is this chart over here on the right where it talks about the life of LED, where it talks about expected long life, 50,000 hours, but actual end-of-life performance is not completely understood. We're going to talk about that today a little bit in detail because it's so important to understand that question about life, and what we feel at Cooper, more importantly, is how we manage lumen depreciation. All light sources depreciate over time. What's really important to understand is how quickly or how slowly with LEDs those light sources actually do depreciate. People much smarter than me tell me that the LEDs, the technology that we're building for solutions today, the diodes themselves, that solid state lighting piece, will outlive any solution that we're putting in before today, old technology, fluorescent induction. So the question really isn't about life, it's about lumen maintenance. How are you going to manage that over time? And we want to talk about some specific projects and applications of jobs that we've done to help illustrate that process. First thing we're going to do is talk about one of our fixtures in an actual project for a customer. This is our Valet LED product. It's been around in 3 generations of efficiency upgrades. Cooper Lighting didn't even get into the LED on any main scale or major scale of market adoption until 2010. So when you realize it's 2013, everybody on the major side, from a manufacturing perspective, is still in the infancy of production of most of these products. Stuff we've had has already in 3 years, like this Valet fixture, has come out in 3 efficiency upgrades over the life that it's been on the shelf and in production, providing solutions for our customers to date. So in this particular application, wanted to illustrate some very aggressive energy swings we can take at traditional sources. This customer had 9 different decks across 3 different states, and we came in and provided a solution where we took 100-watt HID fixtures down to a 1-bar Valet, which only consumes 26, 27 watts at full power, and the 150-watt HID sources in these structures we took down to 2-bar Valet, achieving better than 70% energy reduction at every fixture across these locations. Just a couple of quick application pictures. The structures were only 6 years old, so everything was already pre-wired to have the outside perimeter fixture shut off during the day. This is a quick snapshot of one of the garages using that 1-bar 26-watt solution from our Valet product family. This project incorporated over 2,500 fixtures across these 9 garages, many different incentive and tax incentive programs that we're going to talk about today are exampled in this project. Here's another picture of just the inside, looking inside. Obviously on a bright day, a lot of benefits from these parking decks. You get tremendous amount of daylight harvesting that you can capture into the inside of the decks. With the right control solution, you can take advantage of all that light throughout the day. What do the real numbers work up to on this particular job? It's kind of neat to have a relationship with this customer over time. We started this job at the end of 2011, so the end of this last calendar year, we had real data. Customer was taking real snapshots of the energy bills across these 9 decks, and in 1 year's usage, 12 months, we were $44,000 above our projected savings model that we used to help sell this project internally to that owner. So just a great story on real savings. You know, this is close to $250,000. That's real dollars saved from converting to HID to LED. Speaks nothing about maintaining that number of fixtures or the longevity of time if you looked at this type of a project over a 10 or a 20-year life cycle assessment. So that was, Valet has been around for 3 years plus. It's been a great solution for us. Last year we launched our Quadcast LED fixture, which was specifically meant to bring in that, it's a 57-watt fixture that brings in a solution to try and target the magical 3 to 5 year payback in most markets. This is a 4,365 lumen fixture that will compete against up to a 175-watt metal halide, 2-lamp T5 fluorescent induction technology. You can see when we go up against 175 metal halide, we're at 73% energy reduction in using this LED fixture. We'll talk about the lumen maintenance in a little while. Just to give you some applications understanding, this fixture performs very well in both, I'll say, normal parking lighting applications that we see in the majority of parking decks. That being the drive lane parking and also over the car. Both of those applications with Quadcast perform when we are in a retrofit application, taking out whatever was there from the original design and replacing it with this LED fixture. We can normally, I'll say normally, achieve and beat the minimum IES recommended light levels for those applications. Another quick application picture of, this is an underground, completely underground parking deck in an office tower here in Milwaukee in the Midwest. And for your application across the country, if you're curious, we've populated on our website, we've got an interactive Quadcast map that's interactive. If you find your state on the map on our website, you can drill into the specific utility rebate program. On this map, everything that's in blue is a custom measure. Anything that's in light green is a prescriptive incentive at $150 per fixture or less. Every dark green state is a prescriptive incentive larger than $150 per fixture. Have to have DLC qualification, and we'll talk about incentives here and rebates and how our fixtures comply and earn those rebates next.
Just some of the basics about the incentive program types, and y'all are probably familiar with most of this, but Cooper Lighting has between 200 and 250 luminaires that have been identified as energy products that qualify for these various programs. And the 3 types are, as Mark mentioned, the custom utility program, which is based on energy savings, and then the Quadcast example that he gave of 175-watt metal halide down to a 56-watt Quadcast. The delta between the 175 and the 56 paying at so many cents or $1 per watt savings is how that's calculated. And we'll get into some detail on that. And then the prescriptive utility programs where There's a predetermined dollar amount for each fixture. There are some utilities out there actually paying more than what the fixture sells for, which goes for the labor cost. So there's some. I know some parts of the country have some prescriptive utility programs that are very valuable when looking at retrofitting. And then the Energy Policy Act, we'll get into the details of that too, and the EPACT program and the potential savings there. To qualify for incentives, obviously, in manufacturing lighting fixtures, looking to get them qualified to pay for the incentives, and when customers are looking for ROI, that is the big thing that makes these things attractive. From the Energy Star qualified, and all of these things Cooper, by the way, is certified in. The Energy Star qualified from LED, CFLs. There's some halogen, some HID that meet the Energy Star qualification. The Design Lights Consortium, the DLC qualified for small commercial, for LED outdoor and LED troppers. Lighting Facts, which in the LED world, and Mark kind of touched on this, is life and how people present their fixtures, their lighting, their LED fixtures, and just what they can do. And then there's other qualifications, both Lighting Facts and DLC, both Lighting and Energy Star, where some utilities require a myriad of qualifications to get their incentives. For Cooper lighting products, and we're dedicated to being certified for the Energy Star certification. Out of all of the lights that are the fixtures that meet Energy Star, 27% of them are Cooper fixtures. So almost, or just a little over a quarter of all the Energy Star fixtures are from Cooper. And from the DLC, very committed to this. We work very closely with them. We will be sponsoring some of their events at the end of July. If some of you are going to be attending that, that's going to be in Chicago for the DLC Consortium convention. But Cooper has 38% of all fixtures that are certified by DLC. 38% of them are from Cooper. And then we have linear fluorescents that meet the standard for stock products. We are a member of Lighting Facts. We're registered with them, and typically registered with some of the other certifications as well.
And that DLC requirement, as many of you know, and if you don't know, it's not one to gloss over. Again, realizing the basic infancy that all of us manufacturers are in with legitimate solid-state lighting products. I mean, less than 5 years, certainly less than 10. If you've been in lighting for more than 5 years or more than 3 years, you can remember the days of the first fixtures coming around. Somebody manufactured a solid-state luminaire out of their brother-in-law's garage, a month ago, and they've been in business for 18 months and have suddenly an LED fixture. And the Department of Energy elevated really Energy Star and Design Lights Consortium as the two sheriffs to come in and sort out who had legit products on the claims of their specification sheets, and those that were just touting ridiculous claims that really had no way of being tested against any means or standards. So when you look at the Design Lights Consortium, and if you look back at the fact that we've got 250 different fixtures through that process, those are different fixture categories. Every single lumen package, color, temperature, we could have one fixture that has up to 10 or 12, sometimes 15 different submissions to DLC. Those are not inexpensive submissions. It's a major investment. It does separate legit manufacturers from everyone else, and it's the reason that 80–90% of every utility rebate company across the country, if you want to get the rebate incentive dollars for your products, you have to have a DLC qualified fixture. It is the means that has been raised up to vet out legit products. So we're big fans and supporters of the DLC, and we have no problem sharing the numbers and pointing people to that sheet to help understand it. One of the other big parts of the economics of these lighting retrofits, which we still have yet this year to utilize, is the EPACT that was started back in 2005. I'd like to just make the disclaimer up front that when I talk about energy, or when I talk about EPACT, I use the information from a CPA because I'm an electrician by background and I'm not a finance or a certified public accountant. I've asked the folks at Energy Tax Savers if we can share their information. I've gotten their blessing. So I prefer to use the financial sector's information on this. kind of a fun email we got last year. The other reason I use their slides is I never mind promoting their services. The folks at Energy Tax Savers is a tax accounting firm on the East Coast that specializes in using the EPACT language and other energy tax policy incentives with both public sector and private for-profit firms to maximize the tax benefit from doing energy projects. Lighting is one of the easiest of the 3 sections of EPACT to attain, and within the lighting sector, got this email from them last year that speaks to the fact that they've nationally processed $25 million in EPACT incentives for parking garages, which is great, and right there you hear it from a financial person's mouth. This is one of the best EPACT categories for tax incentives, both for commercial property owners and government building designers. So just a quick recap on what it is within the EPACT program or ruling, because it's a tax ruling, that benefits those within the parking garage space. While it's a tax deduction, it was originally only supposed to be a 2-year program, and it's had many extensions. It started a full presidential administration ago under Bush. It's been extended out. The current language is eligible this year through December 31st of this year. There's 3 areas of benefit: lighting, HVAC, and building envelope. We're only going to worry today about the lighting portion. What is EPACT worth? If you've got a 250,000 square foot parking deck, you have a potential EPACT deduction on that project of up to $150,000. This is a deduction. It's not a tax credit. It's not an incentive. You don't get a check back. It lowers your taxable income. And the best person to understand the benefit of EPACT is the person who pays taxes or the tax accounting firm for your corporation. That's the best person that we can have the EPACT discussion with. But lighting is a graduated scale. You have to achieve a certain level of efficiency over the ASHRAE standard. The current ASHRAE standard specifically for parking decks is 0.25 watts per square foot. And as your design accelerates past that standard, you earn additional layers of incentive from EPACT. And that's a short, very simplistic explanation of EPACT. There's a requirement within EPACT to achieve bi-level switching. I frequently get asked, well, my parking garage or my warehouse or my building is 20 years old and we never did bi-level switching, so how do I achieve bi-level switching and meet that requirement? They wrote a special rule for specifically parking garages because they recognize that as a building that has a roof over it, parking garages have a unique benefit within the language of this EPACT tax program or tax rule. So there's a special program that was written to define the rules that govern and confirm that parking decks, parking garages are in fact a qualified classification that would earn the EPACT deduction if the design was met the requirements within the language of the tax rule. So as it relates to bi-level switching, you can see here on the bottom, the exempt spaces that do not require bi-level switching are storerooms and, yes, parking garages. So what does all this look like on a real-life payback calculation for a real project? So I put together 4 payback calculations for our discussion today, just looking at our Quadcast fixture over the course of retrofit installations where we're looking at utility rebates, utility with EPACT benefits, and then another special program which we'll talk about in a minute. So all 4 of these you're going to look at are all assuming that we've got a 300 fixture, 150 watt metal halide parking garage, and we're going to convert that to our Quadcast in a 1-for-1 application. So we're going to assume that light levels are met or exceeded to the owner and ASHRAE's requirements to achieve levels. And all the other parameters here, I'm using 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Some markets that's generous. Some markets like the Northeast and the Northwest, and we're grossly undervaluing that cost of energy. Everybody, if you're not aware, the Northeast part of the country is 17, 18 cents per kilowatt hour. So this is just trying to take a means average across many applications. So in this example, with 0 utility rebates being applied across, we can earn a simple ROI of 3.3 years, which was exactly where Quadcast was built to come into that better than 5-year payback level. Again, this calculation is assuming $100 per fixture for labor to install, and the cost of the fixture is identified within the calculator as well. If we move forward and add in a $200 utility rebate, there are markets that have a $200 utility rebate on this qualified fixture from us, which is the Quadcast. The payback goes to just under a year and a half, and it's a 69% internal rate of return, which most financial firms would smile at from an investment to make into that type of a internal rate of return after that level of investment. Most utility rebate programs are capped at some level. There are rules in place. And again, this is just meant to show kind of the horsepower that's there behind these LED retrofits for parking garages, the type of savings that are there. These calculations also don't take any reflect into the maintenance savings that are saved out over the number of years. Traditional sources, whether it's metal halide, fluorescent, mercury vapor, high-pressure sodium, all of those have a life rating to the lamp that's there, and over 5, 10, 20 years, there's an incumbent cost to maintaining that lamp replacement over time. So the benefit of LED is we have very long life cycles, and our Lumen maintenance, I prefer to talk about Lumen maintenance over life because it's a more technical, accurate description of what we're able to achieve with LED. Next, we'll look at that same project, utilizing that same $200 rebate per fixture. Everything else stays the same, and now we're going to take the financial benefit of EPACT in first year. Most federal rate customers are around 35%. I've lowered this to 30% to carry some costs, not knowing when the cycle of the year that corporation might be paying their taxes. Again, there might be carrying costs. They might be doing the project and committing the capital now and not paying taxes out for 9 or 11 months. And then that lower tax level that they would be paying, they're not seeing that benefit for 11 months. So there's always a lot of granular, small, hidden idiosyncrasies within the valuation of EPACT to any lighting project. And if EPACT is something that's important or sounds compelling to your efforts or your customers' efforts or your personal properties, we'd love to talk with you more about it and put you in touch with people that can make sure that we're maximizing the value of EPACT for your projects. So this is kind of showing the best case scenario when you have a really great fixture performing at or above the IES levels with a great market where you've got a really aggressive utility rebate involved to incentivize the customer to do that. And you can couple that with the federal tax program from EPACT, you can have a first-year cost on the books of less than 1 year payback. This example here is actually less than 6 months to get back the cost investment of what you've put out to convert a structure to LED. So obviously many variables that could be addressed in that example as well. Lastly, just one of the other unique benefits that we do in our team at Cooper is try and stay on top of all of the unique varying utility rebates and sometimes grants and incentives that are placed beyond utility rebates. I just grabbed one example from the Midwest. In the state of Illinois, there's a Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity grant specifically targeted for energy efficiency projects for public sector building owners. So think school districts, municipalities, police departments, universities. Within the state of Illinois, if you're a public municipal entity, you are eligible for this particular incentive. It's a grant, and this incentive happens to have a bonus category right now for outdoor LED, in which parking garages and outdoor parking lots that are converted to LED qualify for this special measure or grant. And that DCEO grant right now throughout the state of Illinois pays out 30 cents per kilowatt hour reduced up to a max of 75% of the project cost. So again, in this example we've been looking at across these previous 4 slides, you have a project cost of $105,000 to take a building load from the load that it was, which was I think 52 kW down to about 17 or 18 kW. And when you look at that across the use of time over a 35 365-day calendar year because it's a parking garage, your kilowatt hours in this application actually earns an incentive over $95,000 on a $105,000 cost for this program, but they max out the incentive at 75% of total project cost. So the max incentive through this grant, if this project happened to be for a public building owner in the state of Illinois, picture a university would earn a grant back of $78,000 on a $105,000 project cost. So just one other kind of big example. Every major market has potentially has a niche grant incentive that might be there like this one. And so the other thing that we do in our team is try and help our customers and partners in business understand the best incentive packages that are out there eligible for these projects that our folks are trying to pursue. Okay, Lumen maintenance and multipliers. This chart is our current Lumen maintenance chart, and this covers all of our outdoor products. So whether you're looking at our cross-tour wall packs, which we don't have time in this webinar to get into, if you're looking at our site and area fixtures from Navien or Galleon, or if you're looking at our parking deck fixtures from Valet, Quadcast, we've got a brand new fixture coming out later this year. Our current Lumen maintenance chart is exactly as you're looking at it here. If you understand Lumen maintenance, it's depreciation of light over time. And we are L90 at 60,000 hours, meaning across the board at 60,000 hours of burn time, our LEDs have depreciated less than 10% of their original light output. Most folks are managing to L70, which is the IES mean standard for managing light depreciation. IES allows, it doesn't matter if it's a fluorescent lamp or an HID, when you've hit L70 or 30% depreciation from original light output, everybody agrees that lamp is at its effective end of life for light output.Maybe not usability, but across the design criteria for usable light, L70 is the standard. Our outdoor products at 25 degrees C ambient temperature are actually out to 350,000 hours of projected time that we're going to see before you get to that L70 point in time. So there are multipliers that we can use, and we publish those. If you're in a market like I am in the the Northeast, our average outdoor ambient temperature swings between 14 and 8 to 6 degrees Celsius if we're far northern Wisconsin throughout the course of the year. So we can actually put a 0.04 multiplier on top of our Lumen maintenance from any one of our spec sheets, and that really, in many cases, gives us about a 3 to 4 depreciation of light, 3 to 4% depreciation of light over 60,000 hours, which is best in class, and we're very proud of that performance we're achieving with the Lumen maintenance within our products. There is also, when we're talking about tax programs, there is a Maker's Accelerated Depreciation, which outdoor LED site packages is eligible for. So if you've got a parking deck, you use EPACT because there's a roof there and it's actually tied to a building. If you have a site package, like at an auto dealer or a large surface parking lot light or a parking application outside of an airport or outside of a large convention center, and you're trying to find a way to find economic value from the tax code to convert that site to LED from metal halide or high pressure sodium, you could leverage the modified accelerated cost recovery system, which is a tax rule that was authored back in 2010. Again, in the 2012 American Taxpayer Relief Act, they extended that Maker's depreciation out for one more year. So if you're doing a project or looking at doing a project this year, converting a site package to LED, you can take a 50% bonus depreciation. So what does that mean on a $100,000 site light retrofit? Well, the math works down. If you have 100%, in simple math terms, $100,000 total project cost, that's labor included, cost of materials, everything all in, 50% value of that, add again 35% federal rate, first year program cost offset, whatever you want to call it. The only person that can really value the real benefit of of leveraging that bonus depreciation is whomever for the firm is taking care of paying the taxes. So it's important to have them engage in this discussion as well. But in effect, simple terms again, on this job that costs $100,000 to convert a site to LED from a traditional system, you could talk to a benefit of around $17,000 of first-year cost offset. You would take that, the first-year energy savings, any first-year utility rebate incentive, and your maintenance savings, and couple all that together, reduce that from your project cost, and then do some quick math to come up with your simple ROI. And again, this is meant to be high level to cover all applications. If you want to get into specifics, we'd happily do that after the call with somebody from our team. What can we do with control at this point? So we have the ability in our outdoor products to put in occupancy, motion, and daylight control. What you're looking at here is our occupancy sensor that we can put on board. This happens to be on board of our Galleon site fixture, and we're able to have an occupancy sensor which does dual technology. There's dip switches inside to adjust both daylight settings and motion control to adjust the parameters that you want to control the light to. In addition to that, we've got our brand new LumaWatt wireless lighting management system that we're launching this month. We wanted to cover a little bit of this today as well. So the benefit of this is from a retrofit standpoint where we can take and really integrate, and this is coming at all of us in the lighting industry fast and furious. It's the integration of smart controls into the lighting fixtures and making it a lighting solution where you can have intelligent systems that are taking and automating a lot of the needs of lighting for what the space requires. And once you tune the light system to the parameters you want to run the lighting system within, the system takes over, we take the human element out, and we can achieve future levels of savings and all the other benefits that come from control. So what is our LumaWatt overview? We've developed a system where at a site location, think about a retrofit of your or your customer's location. You could go out and replace every fixture in a site lighting package or a parking garage application and have a wireless node included with every fixture that creates a mesh network from fixture to fixture to fixture. And we're able to then have all kinds of integration from an internet browser with advanced levels of control. So here's a quick snapshot of a user interface that would be offered. We can actually include a graphical representation of the site package that's there. You're able to define the fixtures that are commissioned and tied into the system. And then from that point, you can now tune these fixtures because our outdoor LED products have 0 to 10 volt dimming on board. So now instead of step layers of control, you can have full fluid control of what light level and what energy you want to consume for your application that best suits your needs. So we're able to dial into time of use, we're able to dial into light levels that are there and achieve additional levels of savings because these also have occupancy sensors on board. We're able to trend out and track where folks are on the lot, if that's important to you from a retail application. So there's tremendous benefits that come from being able to track and monitor occupancy, time of use, and shed the lighting load. And because it's wireless, we don't have to pay electricians to pull additional control wires into these fixtures. We have the technology now to put this on board a retrofit solution and achieve the advanced levels of savings that are there. There's a quick picture of the node that's included with the sensor. Here's a quick application for a parking garage. If we were to do a retrofit of this particular deck, this is 40 fixtures in a parking garage. This is showing a 73-watt LED solution. So there's a tremendous benefit going from, I'll say, a 175-watt solution down to the 73-watt. Probably this is a Valet solution with 3 bars in it. And if you put the wireless control on board, you can shed an additional 440,000 kilowatt hours and achieve a 31% energy savings by use of that control. I'm sure the folks at the Green Parking Council have better statistics on this than I do, but I've heard in the past that most parking garages are unoccupied north of 80% of the time, meaning that if you've got a lighting load in your garage that's just turned on and left for 365 days of the year, 80% of the time the lights are on and literally nobody's home. So we've got an application now where we can actually adjust that and auto-tune that to exactly the right amount of light that you want for your needs and your application. Doesn't have to be step. We can actually tune this to exactly the level of light you want for your application for your needs. John?
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. And just kind of to wrap up, and I think Mark has hit on several things, we want folks to know out there to think of Cooper Energy as their team members, and we can support you. And Mark has walked us through several examples, but there's several other areas where we offer support, and you can see them listed there, whether it's on the incentives or the tax credits, whether it's doing the layout or looking at design, whether it's doing the statistics of what the needs are in particular parts of the country. We've got a myriad of areas where we want you to think of us as able to support you in your needs there. And I want to thank, I know Mark does too, you for allowing us to have this time today for the webinar and talk a little bit about this, and we'll answer any questions.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. We'll start off with some questions right here. First question we have is, have you seen, in terms of controls, facilities integrating them without upgrading the existing lighting? And does that make sense in certain situations in terms of an ROI?
I've not seen it in putting controls on an existing, I'll say, heritage lighting system or original, whether it's a fluorescent or a metal halide. If you were to put a control system on an HID system, being metal halide or high pressure sodium, it wouldn't be advisable because there's the restrike time that it takes to warm up those fixtures. So those HID products really aren't conducive to controls to shut the lights off, and there certainly is not the technology on board to dim those packages. The fluorescent is much the same discussion. Every time you turn on and off a fluorescent lamp, you're limiting its life potential because you're building up carbon on the cathode and therefore taking off a little bit more of its light. The light never really escapes out the tube. It just gets to a point where it no longer fires, and we lose a lot of life and light out of those every time we cycle and turn on and off a fluorescent fixture. So unless you have the right lamp and the right ballast on board that are tuned for occupancy sense use, I wouldn't recommend adding in control into a fluorescent package either, because all you're going to do is be turning on and off fluorescents. You're going to be increasing your maintenance cycle. And with where we're at with LED and solid state technology with pricing on these products right now, most of those fluorescent solutions are still north of 100 watts per fixture. We could still achieve a 50% energy reduction to get to LED. Then when we're at LED, now we can incorporate all the benefits of control with zero effect on life of the product or on degradation of the light output from the product.
Thank you. And in there you had mentioned maintenance. Has there been any studies done to quantify the impact in terms of ROI that LED or these newer technologies have in terms of reducing maintenance costs?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the job that we did, and we frequently ask folks for this when we do conversion projects, we have got a calculator on our toolkit that will forecast whether you do spot relamping or group relamping. We have a calculator that will forecast your annual cost to maintain your traditional system, be it fluorescent, metal halide, incandescent, whatever it is. Our calculator looks at the projected life assessment of that lamp, and then we put in your labor rate that you use to maintain that lamp and that ballast, and we forecast that out. I've done jobs in the past. The best example I have of this, hospital network I was working with, we've converted 4 garages for them. The first one, we were trying to go before the board and get an understanding of what kind of maintenance savings they were going to see, and the facility manager said, oh, I got this nailed down. Our maintenance software package, every time there's a warranty call out to any of my buildings or assets, we track the cost internally of that. So he was able to look back through his Johnson Controls Medisys system and tie out all of the maintenance costs from one garage that we were proposing. My calculator forecasted about an $8,500 annual cost for them to maintain their lamps. He looked back in his system. His 3-year average was between $7,000 and $10,000 per year of maintenance costs to have one of his maintenance guys go out to that parking structure and maintain the lamps and ballasts that are there. When you look at the life cycle of where we're at with solid state LED lighting, we have 5-year out-of-the-box warranty for our products. We will gladly extend that out to 7 or 10 years. Just like GM gives you a 36,000-mile warranty on your car, you can extend that warranty package out over time. We're happy to do the exact same thing. So we can truly now provide solid-state LED solutions that you can have maintenance-free concerns up to 10 years, pay for it on day one, and you don't have to worry about it for 10 years down the road. So there's tremendous benefits to doing it that way.
And then on to some of the incentives. So you'd mentioned that the EPACT was proposed to go until the end of this year. Is there any talk of it being extended any further than that?
Yeah, we've got folks within our group that are tied to legislative initiatives in Washington. We're hearing things of not just extending it, but actually increasing the value of that. You certainly have to believe that there are lobbyists there that are leveraging Congress for an extension of EPACT so we can use it further into the future, and not just use it, but actually make an increase. So right now it's 60 cents a square foot for lighting, 60 cents for HVAC, another 60 cents for building envelope. Total deduction value right now is $1.80 a square foot. There are folks that are lobbying Congress to make an extension of that out to $1 for a max incentive of up to 3 or more. So I don't have the crystal ball to know where that's all going to fall down, but certainly no differently than when Congress enacted the Emergency Funding Act of 2012, and we were aware that they were including the extension of that maker's bonus depreciation from last year that was supposed to be abandoned and done with. We stay on top of that stuff, and then when those things through Congress are extended out additional tax years, we send that out through our network, and we'll make sure that the GPC is on board of that legislative action when we know what definitively will be in the program for next year.
Great. So you discussed the accelerated depreciation versus the EPACT, and how the accelerated depreciation was specifically for outdoor applications, and the EPACT was specific to garages. Are the rest of the benefits, can you use those in conjunction in any application? Obviously with the utilities and states or municipalities, it's based on geographic location where you can apply the incentive. But aside from that, are the other incentives available for any type of facility, and can they be used in conjunction with each other?
Yes. So if you are a tax-paying building owner and you are doing a retrofit job of your parking garage and you've got a roof on board and it's an actual building, you would utilize whatever utility rebate program is in place in your area or territory. You would utilize EPACT as a benefit to you from a tax perspective, and you could layer those together. No differently, if you were a property owner of a site package, you could utilize whatever rebate was available in your territory, and on top of that, if it's beneficial to you and you actually pay taxes, the value from that maker's bonus depreciation could be realized on your tax bill and might be a benefit to help you lower your taxable income in both those. But yes, you can absolutely layer those up together. The last one I showed, the DCEO benefit from that incentive, if you were a municipal building owner and so you don't pay taxes, you could actually work with the designer of the system, and we know the folks that are interested in doing this. You can actually have a designer of the system take the deduction value on their books and use a portion of that as a credit back to the municipal entity. So if you're a parking garage owner or work with a parking garage in a municipal government, you can actually realize what we typically like to do is include more services or scope by value of including the EPACT transfer of that deduction to the designer of the efficient system. So there's many ways to leverage all of those different incentives, tax benefits to projects to maximize out the value of those.
I see. Another question here, do the LED luminaires need to be cleaned? Is there any sort of maintenance that goes into having those in your facility?
So there's a lensing process on the bottom of our optic, which in a parking garage, now the longest ones that we've had up again are close to 3 years, have not had any issue. These are IP66 rated products. From a maintenance standpoint, if there was performance issues that could be there from a buildup of dirt over time, no issue with spraying those down and wiping them off. We don't promote any cleaning that's necessary over time for our fixtures any differently than would be there from a lens and a vapor-type fluorescent product or an HID product. And because those other, a vapor-type fluorescent or an HID product has buildup of dirt on the inside, which is worse from the performance of the lamp and lumens getting out of the fixture, the fact that ours is a sealed optic where the diode is right behind that sealed optic, if you had to do any cleaning, ours were tremendously easier to maintain over time than any of the other traditional lighting systems.
And with the cost reductions we've seen over the past few years with the newer LED technology, is there a reason for facility owners and operators to move forward with the implementation of the technology now, or is the price of these technologies projected to keep decreasing?
It's a great question.
What's the motivation to make that choice today?
The best way to answer that question is to understand where the payback sits on your project now. So the cost offset that might be there if you roll the dice and assume that there's a 15 or 20%, 10% cost efficiency 12 months from now, you may lose out on a particular incentive that's in this current program year. There are very aggressive rebate markets right now for solid-state lighting that make up far more than 50% of the cost of the product. Sometimes they're better than 20%. Many of them are better than 50% of the product. So the risk in waiting is losing that tremendous benefit that's there from an incentive standpoint, because the utility side, you have to realize the utility markets are also trying to incentivize those more expensive products now to get them in and lower their load on the grid that they may be in. And the other answer to that I always give folks is, because you have to think about this, this is truly solid-state lighting. This solid-state lighting is the same technologies and chips that are in Dell computers and iPhones and Mac computers. This is no different than the discussion we were having 10 years ago when we were seeing every 12 months in the Christmas flyer, the Dell computer you bought 12 months previously had another 250 gigs of RAM and was $150 cheaper. So we are all of the understanding that there's an adoption rate that everybody's going to be moving into LED. It's a matter of time. And again, the only person that can answer the question of if you should buy it now or a year from now is whoever is paying the utility bill. And that person needs to understand where their job sits from an investment standpoint today to make the decision if they should wait until next year. Most firms that have financial groups have some form of internal rate of return that they green light or red light project proposals moving forward. Most corporate entities have an internal rate of return threshold. If you can get better than 20%, it's a good idea to do it. Many of them have a threshold better than 30%, you better do it, or you're financially stupid for not doing it. And we have programs that are better than 50 and 60% internal rate of return. So why wouldn't somebody do a 50% internal rate of return project this year? Again, the only person that can answer that and that should roll those dice is a knowledgeable, informed owner of a parking garage.
And then one final question is, as a property owner, what's a good first step for acquainting ourselves with more information on the products, how to initiate the lighting retrofit? Where are resources available? Where can we go to decide the next step and kind of fulcrum in all the different information that is out there?
So I flip back one slide to our John and I's contact information here. I cover the entire Midwest for our energy products, and John's got 6 of us across the country. And again, we know within our geographic area, and John knows nationally, if you have a strong presence of properties, or if you're corporately positioned in New York, we'll find you the right person within our Energy Solutions team to have this discussion and get into the details of how we can best factor solutions for what it is that you need to look at from a lighting perspective. So I would just offer up to those on this call and anybody that might be watching this in the future, start with us, start with myself, start with John. We'll put you within the right team internally within Cooper to make sure you're on top of the best information for your application.
And not only, you can start with us, and we've got, from the 2 slides before, we've got a myriad of resources internally, but even externally of knowing where to go to get the information or the relationships, to put you in touch with people to kind of complete the whole process.
Okay, and that's all the questions we've had come in. So I'd like to thank both of you for taking some time to share with us this information on controls, incentives, and lighting technologies that are available. It's very, very helpful for us all.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trevor. Thank you for the opportunity.
And tomorrow morning, I want to let everybody know that our panelists' contact information will be available on the Green Parking Council website as well as the presentation. I'll be sending out an email to everybody with a copy of the slide deck and a link to that. And if you have any suggestions for future webinars, please send me an email at trevor@greenparkingcouncil.org. Thanks for joining us today.